Good morning, pre-algebra students. This is Mr. Sanders. So today is Tuesday, September the 8th. And so today we are starting a fresh new unit. I want to say that I want to thank you all for working hard on Unit 1. We did get all the test data in. And so I am pleased with what I saw. Yes, there's room for improvement, and I'll be contacting those of you all who need that because remember what I said, A's and B's, I will not accept C's, anything below. Hey, that's a long time ago, so we got to make it right. So if you know you didn't score the score that you needed to score, I'll be getting with you to correct that so we can get a better grade because I want to see A's and B's. Now let's get to what we're talking about today. Today is Unit 2, and that's on equations and inequalities. So what I am showing here on the screen is your new interactive notebook. And once you download this link from Schoology, you'll have to make a copy of it. So go ahead and make your own personal copy of it, and so you can add some things into it. But let's see what you need to do. So here I still have the title page. You're going to type your name here as such. And then when you go to the second slide, you'll see I still have the reference chart with all the different things you can do with the calculator. And then here is where we start our lesson. And so this video that I'm making, I'm going to insert that right inside of the cell phone. You'll see this video there. Today we're going to learn how to model and solve one-variable equations with variables on both sides by using algebra tiles to balance each side of the equation. So it says we have these little tiles here. So the yellow square tile represents, and you're going to type in here, that represents one positive unit. So I'm going to say positive 1. It says type here. So I'll put positive 1. All right, and then the green tile, it represents here. I'm going to put that right here for this blank. So I'll just move this up. That represents X. Missing variable. And then here, the red tile, what does that represent? That represents negative 1 unit. All right, and then here I'm going to type in this red long rectangular tile. It represents negative X. And so that's going to be our key for us when we use algebra tiles as we work along. And some people may have different color codes for tiles, but for this particular lesson here, our working definition for these tiles will be as such: positive 1, negative 1. Then the green rectangular tile is X. The red rectangular tile is negative X. All right, let's move to this next slide. So here we're going to model some equations. Now I know you all talk about equations in 6th grade. We did it in 7th grade. And so we just want to kind of refresh your memory. So let's look at the first one. It says model each equation using algebra tiles. X plus 2 equals negative 4. So I'm going to go here. X is going to be a rectangular tile plus 2. That means that's 2 positive. So I'm going to put 2 yellow tiles here. That'll give me my plus 2. And then equals negative 4. So that's negative 4 constant. So I'm just going to put 4 red tiles. So 2, 3, 4, like that. And so I have modeled this equation. You can see my equal signs is this little bar. So this is like my equation mat. Some people call that an equation mat when you kind of lay it out. But you can see my algebraic representation, and then you can see me working my pictorial or my model here with these algebra tiles. So that is the same thing I want you to do for each of these particular models. I want you to go and model it for me. And then after you do that, we'll go to the next lesson. So you can pause the video here and use the algebra tiles bank to model these equations. So I have another equation here. Then I have, of course, this is our goal for 8th grade, equations with variables on both sides. So good luck with that. Now, moving on. The next piece here is some vocabulary. So this is our vocabulary. So you can type vocabulary in here. And so for vocabulary, we're looking at these special terms. You're going to hear your math teachers to talk about this. And when you look at different videos all around, they're going to be using these words. So the first one I want to talk about is variable. What is a variable? Variable is a letter that represents a missing value. So for an example, you may have seen something that said like 3x or 5x or negative 7x. Well, that letter represents a missing number. So this really means 3 times some missing number. So they use a letter in algebra to represent that missing number. So that's what a variable is. It's just simply an alphabet that represents some missing value. All right, coefficient. Coefficient is the number that's next to the variable. So you can see I have a green 3 in front of my x. That's for the word coefficient. So 3x, the coefficient of this expression is 3. Coefficient just means the number that's directly in front of the letter or attached to it. All right, next. Inverse, you can see I use some different opposite colors like yellow, red, green, orange, things of that nature. So the opposite just means an opposite operation. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. So those are what we call inverse operations. They're opposites of each other. Now, balance. You can see I have my 2 A's. And what does balance mean? It means keep both sides equal. Do the same operation to each side. And so I put a picture of a balancing scale here to just remind you how if you have a scale like this, and you've probably seen this in science, you know you have to add or take away the same amount to keep those scales balanced. So that's what we call using properties of equality to keep an equation balanced. And you all did that in 6th grade math, also in 7th grade math as well. Term. What does term mean? A term is an expression that is separated by a plus or a minus sign. So if I look and I write this expression, 3x plus 7 minus 5x, each of these things I have highlighted in this purple, it is light purple, whatever you want to call that. These are terms. So 3x is a term, that positive 7 is a term, that minus 5x is a term. Why? Because they're separated by a plus or minus sign. So with this particular expression, it has 3 terms. 3x, it has plus 7x, then it has this negative 5x. Right, next, a constant. A constant is an expression with no variable. So if I look at this expression, it says 6x plus 5. Well, 5 is the constant because if you look at 5, it does not have a variable attached to it. So if there's no variable attached to it, that means we call it constant. All right, an algebraic expression. An algebraic expression is a math phrase with at least one constant and at least one variable and one operation symbol. All right, and so that means you're looking for plus, minus, multiply, or divide. So that's what that's all about. So these are your vocabulary words that you'll be hearing your teachers use. You'll be hearing me use them when I create some videos. If you're just surfing the internet, you're going to hear some of these terms used. So I hope this helps you with that. Now, moving on, this next activity is for you. You modeled the equation in a slide earlier, and now this is saying we want you to model it and solve each equation using algebra tiles and inverse operations, of course. So here, x plus 2 equals negative 4. What I'm going to do is go here, and there's my x, and then here is my plus 2. And then next, here is my negative 4. All right, now when I see this, I've got to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. The goal is when you solve an equation, you want to get this tile by itself, this green tile. We don't want anything else on this side except for that one green tile. So that's what I've got to figure out. So the first thing I can do is I can get rid of these 2 yellow tiles by using the opposites. So what's the opposite of 2 yellow tiles? It would be 2 red tiles. So here. So I just added in 2 red tiles on this side. So the next thing I need to do is add in 2 red tiles on the other side. 1, 2. All right, now, when I do that, what's going to happen is these tiles some of them are going to eliminate each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in a shape here. Since these are 0 pairs, they eliminate each other. And so what happens with that is now they're gone. And so I just have x by itself equals this amount, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 negative. So that means my x is equal to -6. So I have shown what my solution is by using inverse operations with these algebra tiles. So how could I check this? I can check this by saying if I know that x is -6, that means if I add in -6 to +2, that answer should equal to -4. And so what I want to do is I want to prove to you that that is correct. So I'm going to go to my graphing calculator here, and I'm going to pull up my calculator and prove to you that, yeah, -6 plus 2 really does equal -4. All right, here we go. I'm just going to clear this part and let you see this. So -6 plus a +2, yeah, that does equal -4. So it makes sense that my answer makes sense. So I know I got that problem right. Okay. So this is what I wanted to just model for you guys so you can see how it works. And then I want you to do the same thing for the next two problems using the algebra tiles. Okay. Now, I'm moving on to this next activity. On here, you'll see I have explored the link by creating some of your own equations and share them with the class. I will share a Padlet link on this slide today. So what I want you to do is when you click on this particular picture, there is a link here. So all I want you to do is click on this link. And once you click on the link, you will go to this site that has algebra tiles. And so what you can do is here. I want to show you how to operate this. So when you click on this, you can actually click on this and it will give you the tiles that you need. So if I wanted 2x, I can just grab 2x's like that. And then here's my units here. Now instead of them being green, these are light blue. Instead of this one being yellow, it is a dark blue. Okay, so that's what I have. Now how do I get the negatives? All you have to do is double tap them and they turn negative. Okay, you can spin them. If you double tap, they spin. I think if you tap one time, they turn to the opposite, the inverse operation. And if you double tap, they spin. So if I want to get a -1 here, I tap it one time, and there I have it. So I can add in as many as I want, like such. Now, the next thing you can do is you can also have a background with an algebra and equation map. So I want to show you that. So here is an equation map. All I have to do is click on equation map, and now I have my equation map. So let's say if I want to do this 2x, and let's do maybe +5. 1, 2, 3, and I need some more tiles. So I'll just go back to my algebra tiles. 4, 5. So that would be 2x plus 5. Let's say that equals, I don't know, let's say -3. All right, so I'll click it one time and it turns negative. 2, and another one, click it one time and it turns negative. So now I have 2x plus 5 equals -3. So you've just modeled that equation for me. So I'm going to give you a chance to do this, and then you'll be able to share some of your work with me on a Padlet link that I'm going to leave for the class. Just want to see what you can create. And you can get as creative as you want to. These tiles here, the big square ones right here, we won't use those until we get to high school algebra. So we won't use these until ninth grade. So you don't have to worry about the big square tiles. We'll be only concerned about the rectangular tiles and the small square tiles for our units. So don't forget, if you want to make it negative, just click it one time. If you want to turn it sideways, you double tap like that. Okay. All right. So now let me go back to our slide here. That's what I have here, and that's the end for now for my first lesson in Unit 2 with modeling and solving equations. So you can see how that's going to look for us and how this is going to go. And so right now, I've shown you modeling equations and solving equations. So part of this is going to be in this yellow tab, and then the other part is going to be in this green tab. So here, when I look here, this is modeling, but when I get to this section, here, this is actually solving. So later on, I'm going to put this on the green tab instead of the yellow tab, because that's what this is actually for. So that's some work I have to do. Instead of this being orange, Mr. Sanders is going to make that green. All right, you all, this is Mr. Sanders. I am done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you complete what you need to complete. All right, thanks. Be blessed. Bye bye.